Alright, I don't know an easy way of showing all the routing and everything, and I am by no means trying to lay blame on the Mighty Mouse catch can. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what happened. So as I indicated, took the car to Laguna Seca, was about 15 minutes into my first session, and it started throwing oil all over the inside of the hood, the bonnet here, and mainly it was all right there on the passenger side, and it was bad enough, I think, from maybe people that were behind me. I think they stopped and talked to one of the flag people and said, you know, I was spraying oil on their windshield or something, because I was watching my mirrors pretty closely and I never saw any smoke, but whatever. I pulled it back into the pit and turned it off. I had smoke coming out from the wheel wells, obviously, since I was stopped. I thought it was brakes, and then I looked under the car and I was dripping yeah, a pretty good amount of oil. I would say I probably dripped about half a quart, maybe a little more, I'm not really sure, and I just let it kind of bleed out until it stopped. And then I checked the oil and everything, and I was fine. So that was a bit confusing too. I was about I don't know, a slight bit above the lowest notch, which is where I've always ran it before, especially like track events. So I don't think it was overfilled, but even if it was, I'm not sure where the oil would go and where it would escape. So that's my confusion. Yeah, so just before we do some of the venting and everything, so as I had indicated, I checked over here. I had no overflow or spillage from the reservoir, from the cap, from the dipstick, none of the lines here, none of the lines underneath. This was pretty much saturated. I had oil all over here, oil all down below. I mean, pretty much it's kind of deceptive, because now there's just splatter on everything and you can't really tell where it was coming from or not coming from. And I did wipe this down, but I had oil here, I had oil, you know, all over on the inside. So as I had said, I believe it was just coming on the serpentine belt and getting flung up and hitting that area. So there was nothing on the other side. So I'm using the Insta360. I'll try to get what the you know, the hose connections are. You just can't really see anything. So I got the Mighty Mouse catch can, vented top. It came purposely with the bracket for the Edelbrock coolant tank connection. This is the Edelbrock eForce. I had a Edelbrock shop do the install. After I blew out the front seal, I took it to Finley Chevrolet here in Las Vegas. They are basically kind of ran by most of the Corvette club in their mechanic shop, and the guy Slim there said they've done like 20 or 25 eForce installs on the C7 Stingrays, Z51s, and he has always installed the Mighty Mouse catch can for that exact reason, because since this thing is self-contained, it you know, basically puts all that pressure on that front crank seal. And I was in Arizona hammering the car pretty bad, and it blew that front crank seal, and I lost about, I don't know, 5 quarts or so, drained out, and I had to have it towed home. So this time when it happened at the track, it wasn't, or it didn't appear to be as bad, so I stopped. And once the dripping kind of stopped, you know, I thought I was safe, and then I limped it home, kept it under like 2,000 RPMs, and just bought a bunch of oil if I needed it, and got the car back home. So now I'm just trying to chase everything down and figure out exactly where it was leaking. And my question for Edelbrock, which they already answered, and my question for Mighty Mouse was, even if I had overfilled the reservoir, where would the blow-by go? It should just go into the catch can and recirculate. So I have, you know, some dirty oil residue right here, but I believe that is the stuff that got flung up again from the serpentine belt, because that was pretty clean. No oil residue on this filter up top. This line, as was installed by the dealership, this line runs up here, revents back in. Don't know if you can tell where that is. Runs back up here, goes back up to where the PCV valve connection was. The bottom one, I believe, goes onto that splitter, so I don't know if you can see it, but the bottom one is here, runs down below. I'm gonna put this camera down in, so that runs down here, goes back here to where that splitter is, and then naturally the drain hose, which is pretty covered, but I also looked at that too, and yeah, it's got oil splattered all over it, but I have it running down here, and then I have it velcroed and looped, and you can see the nipple drain end. So again, I have not jacked the car up and drained it out. Last time, or I would say most of the time, when I drain that, I'll get about, I don't know, maybe a quarter or half fluid in that drip line, and that's it. But there was definitely a lot more fluid dripping that is not present anywhere on the catch can or anything. And so yeah, I'm really just not sure, you know, what to look for or where to check. So let me stuff this down in here, hopefully for my own benefit too. And you can see right there where there's a lot of residue, but again, oil was kind of flying onto that belt and just getting flung everywhere. So hopefully you can tell me if you have anybody else that's had this same problem. Because I'm not really sure where to start. And driving it now, it seems fine. My pressure's at like 38 to 40. Might go up, you know, if I'm in it like on second or third gear. And there's no drips. I have nothing. I have nothing under the car. There's like nothing on the ground. And back here, I mean, this is why I say, you know, I had, you know, your typical, but I mean, I had no wet residue where it was going through the system, but I did have, you know, all of this on the back, which, I mean, you'd normally get that from a track event, but like I said, it was the first session out, first time there. I was an open advanced, you know, full open passing, and you know, had a couple cars that were, you know, right on my ass, and you know, so again, I think maybe they might have ran up, you know, stopped at the flag station and said, hey, that white Corvette is you know, spraying oil. So anyway, any info would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.